Hi, my name's Nick, and I watched the movie Disclosure on Netflix. This is a documentary about the history of trans misrepresentation in Hollywood and how, for most of Hollywood's history, they haven't given an accurate representation of trans people and the struggles that they go through on a daily basis. And we see the ways that Hollywood has misrepresented trans people in multiple ways. One of the most prominent is the psychotic serial killer who cross dresses trope. And this started with Psycho and continued on in Dress to Kill and Silence of the Lambs, where you have this psychotic, violent serial killer whose entire gimmick is that they cross dress or that they're killing their victims so that they can become a woman. And it paints this narrative of, trans people are violent and the only reason that they're, dressing up is to hurt other people. And another trope that Hollywood has perpetuated is that you're supposed to feel sick or disgusted when you see a trans person. And this is most prominent in The Crying Game and Ace Ventura with Jim Carrey, where as soon as it's discovered in the film that a character is trans, the characters in the movie they get sick, they throw up. And it gives off this message of you're supposed to feel disgusted when you see trans people in real life. And finally, like another trope that Hollywood has perpetuated is that trans people a lot of trans people are sex workers. And while it is true that a lot of trans people do sex work, it's not painting a full picture of why that is. And it's just taking the struggles of the trans community and turning it into a trope on TV and not explaining why exactly that is. And so to connect this back to lecture, we talked about how nowadays with media, it's become profit over increasing people's knowledge of a subject. And this is very prominent in Hollywood, where for years and years and years, nobody cared about giving accurate portrayals of what trans people look like or what their struggles are. It was just, oh, we're gonna have a trans person in this as like a cheap gimmick or something to guffaw at so that we can make more money. And another way that this connects back to lecture is we talked about how one of the components of citizenship is that you have to have rights. And that's something that trans people have really struggled with, particularly civil and social rights. According to a report published in the University of Chicago journals, up to 50% of transgender people in the workforce have experienced job discrimination. And according to a survey done by PBS, up to 30% of the transgender population has experienced housing discrimination or homelessness. And when you look at these statistics, it's no wonder that trans people would turn to sex work because that's one of the few jobs that they can actually get employed in. But Hollywood doesn't paint that full picture. They just look at the effect without looking at the causes, and they run with the effect and they don't explain the causes. And this fits into a larger narrative of Hollywood not really caring about trans issues and just commodifying them and turning them into something to laugh at on TV.